Okay, so now we're moving on to section 3, which is safe driving. Okay, and now we're going to be talking about all these different safety concerns and where you can put your hand position, speed limit, stopping, all these different topics we're going to go over in depth. Okay, now every time you get behind the wheel, you accept the responsibility of your actions. You must obey Virginia's traffic laws to ensure safety to you, your passengers, and other motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists on the roadways. Okay. So to get started, we're talking about hand position, all right? You want to be relaxed, getting behind the wheel. You want to place your hands on the steering wheel. If your steering wheel was a clock, your hands should be at the 8 o'clock position and the 4 o'clock positions, okay? And you want to hold the wheel with your fingers and your thumbs. Avoid gripping it with your palms. Next, we're going to be talking about speed limits. Speed limits. A speed limit is the maximum legal speed that you can travel on the road under ideal conditions. You may drive slower than the speed limit as long as you don't impede the normal movement of traffic, but it's illegal to drive faster than the speed limit. By law, you must drive slower where the signs indicate, such as a school zone speed limit or a work zone speed limit is in effect, or if the conditions such as road construction or bad weather make the posted speed unsafe. According to Virginia law, if you are driving 20 or more miles per hour above the speed limit or 85 miles per hour, the law enforcement may charge you with reckless driving, regardless of the speed limit. It is considered a misdemeanor criminal offense if you're convicted with reckless driving. The court may require a fine, suspend your driving privilege, or impose a jail sentence. If the violation results in death, the operator's license was suspended or revoked at the time of the offense, and may be considered a felony which carries a serious consequence. You are subjected to an additional $100 fine if convicted of driving between 81 and 85 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone. It is illegal to use radar detectors in Virginia. Unless there's a speed limit sign stated otherwise, the maximum speed limit for passenger vehicles and motorcycles is 25 miles per hour for school and business residential areas, 35 miles per hour for unpaved roads, 55 miles per hour for all other roads. Some school zones may have automated photo enhancements as indicated by signs with a speed photo enforced or similar. Stopping for school buses. In the following pictures, the red vehicles must stop and remain stopped until all the children are clear of the roadways and the bus moves again. You must stop for stopped school buses with flashing lights. An extended stop sign when approaching any direction on a highway for private school or school driveway. Stop or remain stopped until all the persons are clear and the bus moves again. You must also stop if the bus is loading and unloading passengers and the signal is not on. You do not have to stop if you are traveling in the opposite direction on a roadway with a median or a barrier dividing the road. The bus on the opposite side of the median or barrier. However, be prepared to stop for unexpected actions by the persons exiting the school bus. You must always stop your vehicle at all stop signs, red traffic lights, and flashing red light signals. When entering a street or crossing over a sidewalk from a driveway, alley, or building or parking lot, at railroad crossings with flashing lights, when signaled by flaggers directing traffic, pedestrians attempting to cross the street at crosswalks, at the direction of the police officer. If you don't obey a law officer's signal to stop, the officer pursues you and is killed as a direct result of the pursuit. You may be guilty of a Class 4 felony. At the scene of a crash in which you are involved. When approaching a stop sign, the car in front of you proceeds. Stop at the stop sign and proceed when the way is clear. The stopping distance. There are 3 factors to determine the distance to take stops of your vehicle. Perception time, the time it takes that you recognize a hazard. The reaction time, the distance that your vehicle travels between the time you recognize the problem and the time you apply the brakes. And braking distance, the distance your car travels after you apply the brakes. Perception time, reaction time, and braking distance are affected by weather, visibility, and your own mental and physical condition. Braking distance is also effective on how fast your vehicle is traveling, the condition of your brakes and tires, and the pavement conditions. So, for example, wet pavement can double your braking distance. Now, these are the average stopping distances on dry and level pavement. This is the speed limits, and this is how long it takes to come to a complete stop. So for a 25 miles an hour, it takes 85 feet to come to a complete stop. At 65 miles an hour, it takes 344 feet to stop. So you definitely want to take a look at that and be prepared to stop and slow down on the highway. Anti-lock brakes. If your vehicle has anti-lock brakes, be sure that you understand how they work and check your vehicle's owner manual and practice braking before you go out on the road. Remember, never pump anti-lock brakes. Yielding the right of way. Yield means to stop if you cannot merge safely into the flow of traffic. So here are some examples. When vehicles from different directions arrive at the intersection at different times, the vehicle that arrives first goes first. When vehicles from different directions arrive at the same time at an intersection with no signs or signals, the driver on the left must allow the drivers on the right to go first. If traffic lights at an intersection are not working, all vehicles coming to that intersection must stop. The driver on the left must yield to the driver on the right. Drivers entering an interstate from an entrance ramp must yield the right of way to traffic already on the highway. Drivers entering an intersection or roundabout must yield to the traffic that's already in it. Entering a roadway from a private road or driveway, you must stop and yield to all the traffic and pedestrians. You must yield to pedestrians or bicyclists who are crossing the street within a clearly marked crosswalk or at unmarked intersections. Remember that turns on right are especially hazardous to pedestrians. Avoid conflict with pedestrians and bicyclists and permit them to cross the street safely. You must yield to funeral processions. Do not cut through or join or interfere with a funeral procession. Unless led by a police escort, the lead vehicle in a funeral procession must obey all traffic signs and signals. Other drivers in the procession may follow carefully without stopping and use hazard lights or flashers to indicate that they are in the procession. You must yield to all military convoys, never cut through or join a military convoy. Yielding to vehicles with flashing lights. Drivers must take specific actions when you see vehicles with flashing or blinking blue, red, amber, or white lights on the roadways. Stationary or stopped vehicles. When approaching a stationary emergency vehicle or tow truck with flashing lights on the highway, proceed with caution, and if reasonably due to regard of safety and traffic conditions, change to a lane that's not next to the vehicle. If you are unable to safely change lanes, reduce your speed and proceed with cautions. Violations can result in a court suspension of your driver's license and demerit points on your driver's record. When passing stationary vehicles that have activated a vehicle hazard warning sign, flashers, displayed cautious signs, and have been marked properly lit with flares or torches, you are required to make a lane change or reduce your speed. When passing stationary vehicles in the process of trash collection on the highway of at least 4 lanes, change to a lane not next to the vehicle. If you're on a highway with fewer than 4 lanes and if you're unable to change lanes, slow down 10 miles per hour below the posted speed limit and pass at least 2 feet to the left of the vehicle. When passing on a stationary mail vehicle, proceed with caution and maintain safe speed for highway conditions. You may not park within 500 feet where fire trucks or equipment are stopped answering an alarm. Never follow an emergency vehicle closer than 500 feet when the lights are flashing. When police, fire, and rescue vehicles or ambulance approach you from behind your vehicle using a siren, flashing lights, or both, you must immediately yield to the right of way. Safely pull over to the right edge of the road and stop until the emergency vehicle has passed. Approaching vehicles, opposite direction. When an emergency vehicle approaches you the opposite lane on an undivided highway, you must pull over to the edge of the road and stop until the emergency vehicle has passed. These requirements do not apply in highway work zones. Roundabouts. Roundabouts are circular intersections with an island in the center and have one or more lanes. Entering traffic must yield the right-of-way to pedestrians and traffic already in the circle. Each road approaching the roundabout is marked with a yield sign and also have a yield line markings on the pavement. Drivers must pay attention and obey the signs. After entering the roundabout, drivers must travel in a counterclockwise direction. While inside a roundabout, stay in your lane until you are ready to exit. Use your right turn signal to let drivers know what you're about to do. Do not change lanes or take an exit before checking the vehicles that may be continuing through the roundabout in the lane next to you or behind you. Expect vehicles in the blind spots that you cannot see in your rear view mirror or side mirrors. Quickly glance over your shoulder and check any vehicles that may be in your blind spot. Changing lanes. Before changing lanes, check your side and rear view mirrors for traffic approaching you from behind. Then use your turn signal and let others know you plan to change lanes. Check for other drivers who may be also moving into the same lane. Just before you begin moving into the other lane, quickly glance over your shoulder and check for any vehicles that may be in your blind spot. Whether you're changing lanes, passing, or entering or exiting the highway, always use your turn signals and check traffic in your rear and view side mirrors. When driving on a multi-lane highway, stay in the right lane if you're driving slower than the traffic around you, and then the left lane for passing only. When passing another vehicle, check the traffic ahead of you, behind you, and in your blind spot before attempting the pass. Signal and then accelerate the pass. Return to the right lane as soon as you can see the front of the vehicle that you passed in the rear view mirror. It's against the law to exceed the speed limit as you pass. Complete the pass before you reach the no passing zone. If you're still in the left lane when you reach the zone, you're breaking the law. You may pass on the right if the vehicle that you're passing has signaled and is making a left turn. Be cautious because the vehicle that you're passing may be blocking your view or blocking the view of other drivers. You may not pass on the right if you must drive off the pavement or the main portion of the roadway to get around the other vehicle. Here's some more tips for driving through a roundabout. As you approach the roundabout, slow down, look for the street and sign directions. This will help you know which exit to take. These signs should be posted along the roadside before each roundabout. When you arrive at the roundabout, yield the right-of-way to pedestrians and bicyclists. You must also yield to any other vehicles already in the roundabout. Sometimes your entry point will be controlled by a stop or a yield sign or traffic signal. When the way is clear, you may enter the roundabout. When approaching or passing a person riding a bicycle, moped, or power-assisted bicycle or other device, reduce speed and pass at least 3 feet to the left. When being passed, don't speed up. Maintain the steady speed or slow down. Passing is unlawful and unsafe on hills, curves, at intersections and railroad crossings, except on roads with 2 or more lanes of traffic moving in the same direction, off the pavement or on the shoulder of the road. When a school bus is stopped to load or unload passengers on public roads, unless a physical barrier or unpaved median separates traffic going in either direction or on a private road. When a solid line marks the left side of your lane, or when approaching a crosswalk and the vehicle ahead of you or the lane next to you is stopped. Overcorrecting occurs when the driver turns the steering wheel more sharply than expected, causing the rear wheels of the vehicle to slide towards the outside of the turn. This may result in a loss of a vehicle control. Most overcorrecting crashes are single vehicle crashes and most often preventable. A driver should remain alert at all times, reduce the speed, use extra caution while driving on curved roads. If you veer off the road, curved or straight, do not panic. Gradually reduce speed, look in the direction that you want to go, and slowly steer back onto the roadway. Turning. When you make a right turn, you should be in the lane furthest to the right. Signal your intention to turn using the proper turn signal. You should turn on the signal at least 3 or 4 seconds or 100 feet ahead of the turn. Look to your left and your right, checking the intersection for pedestrians and traffic. Then brake smoothly before and during the turn. If there is a red traffic light or stop sign at the intersection, come to a complete stop before making the turn. Turn into the lane closest to the curb unless the pavement markings lead you otherwise, and then change lanes if needed. To make a left turn, you should be in the furthest left lane possible, turning into the leftmost lane on the intersecting road, unless the pavement markings lead you otherwise, or unless multiple turn lanes are provided. If multiple left turn lanes are provided, you should choose the lane that you will be best served your need once you get into the intersecting road. Signal that you intend to turn by using the proper turn signal. You should signal at least 3 or 4 seconds and 100 feet ahead of your turn. Look in all directions, checking the intersection for pedestrians and traffic coming in the opposite direction. Keep your front wheels pointed straight ahead until you are actually going to make a left turn. This prevents you from being pushed onto oncoming traffic if another vehicle crashes into you from behind. When the way is clear, make the left turn and yield to any other vehicles, including bicycles and pedestrians, approaching the opposite direction. When two vehicles are approaching each other and signaling to turn left, both vehicles should turn in front of each other so that the passenger sides of each vehicles are besides each other. U-turns. U-turns are not legal everywhere. Before you make a U-turn, check for no U-turn or no left turn signs. In business districts and cities, U-turns are allowed only at intersections. Never make a U-turn on a highway. When making a U-turn, turn on the left turn signal, stop, and yield for approaching traffic. When the way is clear, proceed to the outside or right-hand lane, traveling in the opposite direction. Let's talk about turn signals. Turn signals. When you plan to change lanes, turn, or enter or exit a highway, first give the proper turn signal. Using your turn signal, which is required by law, communicates the intended movement to drivers around you. Develop a good habit and use your turn signals, hand signals, even if there's no traffic on the road. Here are the hand signals. Left turn, left hand, arm pointing straight out. Right turn, left hand, and arm pointing upwards. Slow or stop, the left hand and arm pointing downward. When you plan to turn, signal 3 or 4 seconds, 100 feet ahead of your turn. Be aware that drivers planning to turn into your lane may not know exactly where you're going to turn, and drivers may pull out in front of you, so be alert. After you complete a turn or lane change, be sure to turn the signals to stop flashing. Maintaining a space cushion. Space around your vehicles gives you distance to react in emergencies and avoid a crash. Create a space cushion around your vehicle by staying in the middle of your lane. Make sure there's enough room ahead of your vehicle and behind it for other vehicles to pass and stop safely. Use the 2, 3, or 4 second rule to determine if you're following far enough behind a vehicle ahead of you. Following distances. At the posted speeds and on dry surfaces, this distance in seconds allow the driver to steer and brake out of problem areas. 2 seconds under 35 miles per hour, 3 seconds 35 to 45 miles per hour, and 4 seconds for 46 and 70 miles per hour. Here's how following distance rule works. Glance at a vehicle ahead of you as it passes a fixed object, such as an overpass or a sign, a fence, and corner or other fixed markings. Begin to count the seconds it takes to reach the same place. If you reach the mark before you've counted off 2, 3, or 4 seconds, depending on your speed, you're following too close. Slow down and increase your following distance. For bad weather conditions, heavy traffic, poor pavement, or if your vehicle is in poor condition, add extra seconds to increase your following distance. Drivers need to change following distance when your speed or road conditions change. Hand response time is close to a half second. Foot response time is normally 3/4 of a second. This does not take into account any delay in perception time as a result of a driver being tired, on medication, or distracted, etc. Road conditions, speed, driver alertness, and weight of a vehicle you are driving all change the ability to stop. Increase the following distances when driving behind a large vehicle that blocks your vision, bad weather or heavy traffic, when exiting an expressway, behind a motorcycle or bicycle, and when being tailgated. Tailgating is when the driver behind you is following you too close. If you find yourself in that situation, do not brake suddenly. If possible, move over to another lane or gently tap the brakes to flash your brake lights and slow down. This should encourage the tailgater to pass you or slow down. Help the driver behind you by maintaining a safe following distance and a steady speed. Tap your brakes to warn the driver behind you when you plan to stop or slow down. Searching. Searching means looking at the entire scene for anything that might come into your path. As you search the road, avoid staring at one thing. Keep your eyes moving and learn to read the road and your surroundings. Looking ahead will help you identify risks early and provide you with more time to react. Expert drivers try to focus their eyes 20 to 30 seconds ahead. In a city, that equals to approximately 1 block. Avoid staring at the middle of the road. Scan from side to side, checking traffic signs, signals, cars, or people that might be in the road by the time you reach them. Search for clues on the road. Look for exhaust smoke, brake lights, backup lights, turned wheels on vehicles. Clues like these that warn vehicles may pull in your path. Watch for pedestrians, bicyclists, and other slow-moving vehicles that may be on the road ahead. When driving in rural areas, watch for hidden intersections and driveways, curves, hills, different road conditions. Watch for other vehicles, especially trucks, oversized and slow-moving farm vehicles, and bicycles. Check left to right and then left again before entering an intersection. Whenever you reach a place in the road where other cars, people, animals may cross your path, look both ways to be sure it's clear. These include intersections, crosswalks, shopping centers, construction areas, and playgrounds. At any intersection, look to the left first. Since cars are coming left, you'll be closer to you. Then, look to the right and take one more click left before you drive through. Look behind. Use your rear view mirror to check the traffic behind you frequently, about every 10 seconds. This will alert you if someone's moving up too quickly or tailgating you. Check the traffic behind you when changing lanes, backing up, slowing down quickly, or driving down a long, steep hill. Blind spots. Blind spots are danger areas where the vehicles around you cannot be seen easily. Before driving, adjust your vehicle's mirrors and make sure the inside rearview mirror frames the whole entire back window. Adjust both sides mirrors so that you can barely see the side of your vehicle. The best way you see in a car's blind spot is by quickly turning your head and glancing over your shoulder to ensure the way is clear before changing lanes or passing another vehicle. Avoid driving in somebody else's blind spot. This can be just as dangerous as not checking your own blind spot. Speed up or drop back, but don't stay in the other driver's blind spot. Sharing the road. Drivers share the road with many other users. Moped, motorcycle riders, trucks, buses, recreational vehicles, and other vehicles in all shapes and sizes. Drivers also share the road with vulnerable road users, including pedestrians and others on bicycles, wheelchairs, skateboards, roller skates, scooters, animals, animal-drawn vehicles, etc. It's illegal to drive distracted and carelessly around vulnerable road users. It's your responsibility to adjust your driving to avoid others' mistakes and ensure everybody's safety. Pedestrians especially are prone to serious injury when struck. Be careful around schools, playgrounds, and in residential areas where small children may be playing or crossing the street. Look out for elderly who maybe have poor vision or hearing. Remember that the elderly and people with disabilities move slowly. Be especially aware of pedestrians making a right or left turn. They have the right of way and allow pedestrians to completely cross the street before beginning your turn. Passing at a crosswalk is illegal. You may not see pedestrians in the crosswalk in the road in front of other vehicles. Be alert for pedestrians crossing the road and stop and remain stopped until the pedestrians have passed a lane in which your vehicle is stopped. Drivers are required to come to a full stop in a pedestrian using a cane or a guide dog as indicates blindness or vision impairment. Bicycles are considered vehicles and have the same right-of-way as motor vehicles. Bicyclists are allowed to ride in the center lane when necessary, such as when they're about to turn left or when the lane is too narrow to share side by side with a car. Bicyclists are legally allowed on all public roads except interstates and most freeways. When being overtaken from the rear by a faster-moving vehicle, bicyclists riding side by side must move into a single file formation as soon as they can do so safely. Bicyclists may also be riding either direction on sidewalks. Bicyclists are subject to many of the same laws as motor vehicles, and bicyclists are subject to many of the same laws as drivers. However, some may not know or obey the rules. Slow down when you approach bicyclists. Using marked bicycle lanes is prohibited by motor vehicles, including when passing. State laws require motorists to pass cyclists with at least 3 feet of clearance. If the lane is not wide enough to allow a 3-foot clearance, motorists must change lanes. Give bicyclists plenty of room when passing and be prepared to stop suddenly. Check your blind spots. A bicycle's small size allows it to slip into your blind spot easily. Always check for bicyclists before you pull out, change lanes, turn, back up, open the door, or proceed through an intersection. Mopeds. It's against the law to operate a moped faster than 35 miles per hour or on an interstate highway. Any person who operates a moped faster than 35 miles per hour is considered to be operating a motorcycle, which must meet Virginia registration requirements. In addition, the operator will be required to hold a valid driver's license with a motor vehicle classification or a driver's license restricted to operating the motor vehicles only. Moped riders must be at least age 16 and obey all rules of the road. They must carry some form of government-issued photo identification. This does not have to be a driver's license. That includes a name, address, and date of birth. As a driver, treat moped riders with the same care given to any other motor vehicle driver. Riders and passengers must wear helmets and use eye protection if mopeds do not have a windshield. The moped must be titled and registered with the DMV. Although you do not need a driver's license to operate a moped, you may not operate a moped if it's been declared a habitual offender and your license is suspended or revoked for driving while intoxicated. Motorcycles. Approximately half of fatal motorcycle crashes involve automobiles. Many crashes are caused by motorists' failure to see motorcycles in traffic. Look for motorcycles. In more than half of all crashes involving motorcycles and automobiles, and other drivers didn't see the motorcycles until it was too late. Drivers are conditioned to look for 4-wheeled vehicles, but they do not expect to see 2-wheeled vehicles. And motorcycles' small size makes it difficult to see.